What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Salud Cabrones podcast. I am Danny Villegas.
And I am Javier Ledesma.
Before we get started, we ask that you like, comment, subscribe, and share the Salud Cabrones podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And follow us on all social media platforms at Salud Cabrones podcast. Javier, we have a very, very, very special guest with us today.
Man, we say that a lot, but I mean, we mean it this time. I mean, it's not like we don't mean it all the time, but damn. This man is special. He's known the world over, baby.
Yes, sir. We're talking about TNA X Division champion. Give it up for Moose.
Moose.
Thanks for having me.
Big Moose,
It's actually
man.
a good setup. You guys came all the way to my hotel room to do this, so I
Oh,
appreciate
thank you
that.
for inviting us,
Definitely,
man. We
definitely.
appreciate it, man.
We're live on set. Moose is sweet.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, man. We had the opportunity of chopping up with Moose a little bit yesterday at the Only Wrestling show, and he was thankfully we were able to get him on the podcast, man. So thank you. We appreciate that.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
How was that as an experience to wrestle at a strip club, man?
I believe that might be my second time.
Oh, look
doing
at
it. Because where I trained at, one of the schools I trained at WWE for was based behind a strip club. We
Oh,
used the
wow.
same building, so we had the back half of the strip club and they had the front half of the strip club. But obviously, the school was just for wrestling. But when I started branching out a little bit in the Atlanta area, I did a show at a strip club. But the difference is the strippers were like walking around doing
Oh, okay, okay.
I was worried
actually
about that.
working
Yeah, they're actually working. Yeah,
on the
yeah,
wrestling show. Yeah, so this was a little different.
yeah.
That was a first for all of us, I think. I was laughing because we heard a rumor during the course of the show in the beginning that the girls were going to dance. And there was no little kids. And then all of a sudden, right towards the end of the day, before the bell for the first match, this family walks in and one little kid. And I'm like, oh, my God, the girls are going to be dancing. And there's this one kid.
Yeah, we knew going in because I didn't even know it was a strip club until we was on our way to the building. They told us, but they said that I guess the strippers wasn't working until after the show was over. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's what happened.
It's a very definitely unique environment that that venue created. That venue itself, strip club aside, is a very historical place. It's been around forever.
yeah, I heard there's been a bunch. That's not the first show that's been there. It's
No,
like, it's
yeah.
been a thing like having a show in that building. So
That's a
but
very
it was
unique venue.
it was a good show. I mean, it was packed house.
Hot crowd, man.
Yeah,
Hot
crowd was hot. I think it was
Yeah.
probably like close to 500 people in that little
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So, which that was just a great day for wrestling on a Thursday too. Which
Yeah.
is
On a
good.
Thursday night, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but man, before we even touch on wrestling, man, you were an NFL football player, man, back in 06, correct?
Yes.
Is it back in 06?
Hey,
So
7 years.
7 years. So were you even a wrestling fan to begin with, or was it always just
Yeah,
football for you?
I've always been a wrestling fan. I think it was the other way around. I wasn't really a big football guy. Just something that I was luckily good at. You know,
Mm-hmm.
blessed to be good at. You know, and it paid a lot of my bills, and it still pay my bills now. But yeah, and then it got to a point where I felt like I've made a lot of money wrestling. I mean, in football, so I might as well pursue something that I love doing, which was pro wrestling.
Oh, nice. What was your first memory as a child and the reason that you fell in love with pro wrestling?
I think it was a '92 Royal Rumble.
Okay.
So I was 8 years old, maybe when parents had just bought. My mom had just bought a D-scrambler, and I remember I was messing around with it.
Yeah. The old hot box.
Yeah, and I saw the Rumble, and I was like, oh man, I became in love with it ever since.
Yeah, I had one of those. My house became the hot spot. All my buddies just
Yeah.
come over and watch wrestling.
That's how mine was. But think about that stupid scrambler. Sometimes it would stop working.
Yeah.
And you have to find a hookup again.
Yep.
to get it
Yeah.
working.
Yep.
And by that time, you missed a good match and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
I was like, God damn it. That was good.
So then, getting into when you get into wrestling, obviously, completely different from football. Both very physical, but physical in different ways. You get into wrestling and you start taking your first bump and bumps. How was that feeling for you? Different from football?
Definitely felt different because it's a whole different part of the body with wrestling that starts to hurt and from different things. Where people ask me this question all the time once they know that I did both football and I'm currently a pro wrestler, is which one is tougher. And I mean, the honest answer is always going to be football, right? Because football is a more real thing. You're trying to push a man to an area out his will, you know. Where wrestling is more like It's like a
Dance.
dance
Yeah.
routine, which has some physicality aspects to it. But they're both really physical. It's just physical in different ways that hurt different part of the body. Like wrestling, I never thought that my upper mid back would hurt as bad as it did, and that's from hitting the ropes.
Yeah.
Because once you hit that rope, it hits this one section of your back for most people, and that before you get used to it, it actually hurts like a motherfucker. So
Yeah, for you, it's probably hitting a completely different side, man. The
so,
size of you.
So things like that, you know what I'm saying? Taking a bump, your elbows from hitting the mat when you take a bump, like stuff like that you don't really experience in football. So it's just a different part of the body that you felt pain at, you know.
Now, was it difficult getting used to, as far as like how you said in football, you're physically trying to take a man down, where in wrestling, you know, you guys are working together, you know, to dance. So did you ever have an issue of kind of reverting back to the football days when you're trying to physically put someone down?
Yeah,
and you're like, oh
because
shit.
In wrestling you have to kind of like lose control of your body, you know, and give your body to somebody else, where in football that was never the thing. So sometimes because of you're used to doing something with your body, and being in control in the football side of it is kind of hard to let go of that control, you know, to give it to somebody else. So that was a hard adjustment to get used to, but I mean, I was dedicated, so.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were nervous the first time you let someone take control of your body.
For sure.
We're friends with Tony D'Angelo, who's an NXT guy right now, and he's an amateur wrestler. And when he was relatively new, he was training at the school where we're at, and he had a hard time at the time understanding the concept of pro wrestling, because he came in from like amateur wrestling where he dominated everyone, and it was hard for him to understand the aspect that, hey, you're working with someone and you need to get that point across to tell the story. And he would sit in there, and at the time, like I said, it wasn't clicking yet, and he's like, man, I could beat everyone in here. And he's like, that's not the point. You know, it was very interesting, because right now, as you're describing that, you know, giving up your body, for a man your size, there isn't many equals to you in the world of pro wrestling. So that's got to be something that definitely went through your head, like, man, I got to do this, I got to do that.
Yeah, but you have to turn that off, that mentality off pretty quick, because at the end of the day, wrestling is you working with somebody, not working against, you know.
Correct.
So,
I always ask wrestlers that, as far as like when we finally got it, as far as like the moment that everything kind of clicked for you in terms of pro wrestling, once you finally understood what this business was about, when did that moment finally click for you, where you're like, oh, now I know what I'm doing in here?
I can't tell you a specific moment when that clicked, but I know exactly what you're talking about, because it's a process that does happen where it might be a match you're in, it might be you just laying in bed and just thinking about wrestling, it might be you watching wrestling, and it might be you studying, whatever you do in your off time. But there's a time where the light clicks and you're like, oh man, I kind of get something that I didn't get before. And I've definitely had that moment, and you just don't have it once, you have it multiple times, because in my 13-year career, I've probably had that moment like 3-4 times where something clicked, and I was like, oh man, I never thought about it that way. Or maybe somebody I was training with told me something I never really thought about, you know. But yeah, it's a process and experience that happens multiple times in your career, and probably still going to happen now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who were your influences in wrestling growing up?
My biggest one, he's not here with us anymore, was probably Razor Ramon. I was a big Razor Ramon fan.
Yeah. Shout out to the bad guy.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest one. Yeah.
So did you ever get a chance to meet him?
Yeah, I was actually buddies with him.
Okay.
Which was cool. I remember the first time, because I'm good friends, even though we don't talk as much as we used to when we was in Japan, or hang out as much. I'm good friends with his son Cody. So I remember, I did a show when I was training in Georgia, and I got Cody's contact, and he came by to the show, and we just hit it off and became good friends. And it was one of those times where Scott was always with Cody, trying to like teach him and give him the rub and all that. So with that, I became close with Scott, even to the point where I would meet up with Cody at some gym that had a ring in it, and like Scott would work with some footworks and some physicality stuff with us, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it's great, awesome, and only in wrestling does that happen where somebody you look up to, you become friends with.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely a great experience, and shout out to Cody and shout out to rest in peace to Scott Hall.
Yeah, I'm curious. 'Cause right now you said, well, only in wrestling you can have friends. Have friends like that. Do any of your old coaches or teammates have they reached out to you or seen you at shows and said, "Man, look at what you're doing"?
Yeah, my biggest supporter, one of my good friends, best friends, John Abraham, retired now. Probably going to be in the Hall of Fame here in the next few years. Yeah, he's been to a few shows. He's done stuff with TNA. He's been backstage with TNA. He's always, I text him all the time, probably every day on IG, social media, and he's always looking forward to what he could come to or what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely, and he's one of those guys they knew that. How much I loved it while we was teammates, you know what I'm saying, when we was playing together.
Yeah.
So he knows the hard work I put in, so he always supports when he can.
Yeah. Well, in football, how much were you weighing in football?
Oh man, I was heavy. I was like 320-ish.
320. Where are you at now?
Like 260-ish.
260-ish.
Yeah.
Now, did you feel because weight, being big like that, all big, muscular in football, but then you got to trim it down for wrestling. Was that hard for you to do, like mentally?
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, losing 60 pounds is tough.
Yeah.
No matter how you do it or what mental you, it's always going to be tough. But it was COVID. But I didn't lose those 60 in like one sitting. It took time, so I went from like 320 to 300, and I wrestled at 300 for a little bit, and then went from 300 to like 290, and I wrestled at 290 for a little bit, and then. When COVID happened, I mean, everything was shut down. You couldn't go outside. You couldn't do anything. So I used that moment to pretty much lock myself down and go on the grind to drop 30 pounds. And so I remember I came back from COVID when we could have fans again. And people was like, holy shit, Moose got ripped.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I used that 3-4 months we had of not being able to do anything to using it as in a positive light, you know what I'm saying?
You were already a very imposing figure, but I do remember when you came back and you were shredded.
Yeah.
I remember the crowd and everyone at home was like, holy shit. This man's a beast.
I took that negative thing that was going on with the world to make some positive out of it, you know what I'm saying? Which that's always my mindset.
So what does your daily routine look like as far as, for you to, obviously you're very busy on the road, doing TNA or independent gigs on the weekend. How do you stay so consistent in the gym and with the regimen?
I try to just tell myself that right now I'm getting paid to stay consistent, and me wrestling is just, I do that for fun, you know what I'm saying? So I earn my paycheck from going to the gym every day, going on a steady diet, you know what I'm saying? Doing the things that I need to do that will help me further my career in wrestling. That's what I'm getting paid to do, and then the wrestling part of it and the traveling is just the fun part, you know? That's just pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious, what does Moose do for fun outside of wrestling in the gym?
I mean, I'm really a boring guy, which is kind of weird. Like, the same thing I'm doing in this hotel is probably the same thing I'll be doing at home, just laying out, watching Netflix or playing video games. Or I'm a big hookah smoker, so I was actually thinking about finding a hookah place to go to as soon as I was done with this.
Bro, we can find one for you, man.
Yeah,
somewhere around here. Yeah.
I'm done with this podcast to go smoke hookah for an hour or two.
There you go.
So that's like my big thing is smoking hookah.
Yeah.
You into cigars too or anything like that?
Only when I'm with the boys at TNA, like Frankie and EY, those guys, Myers, those guys are cigar smokers. I mean, it's really not my thing, but if I'm around them, I don't have a thing of hookah, then yeah, I'll smoke it up with them. But I hate the taste of it. Sometimes EY surprises a group with like some sweet tasting one, and so those are good. But yeah, hookah has just always been my thing. I'm not a big weed smoker or I'm not a drinker, so hookah, that's like my thing.
That's your thing right there. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I've always been curious, and you have a very interesting aspect because you've gone through two major milestones in your life as far as having that very first NFL game, the jitters that go behind, like, oh my God, I'm out there, I'm about to hit the field, and then you had that same scenario where you're about to go through the curtain for your first time. Compare the two moments and how you felt going into both of those.
Oh, I remember football when I was gonna go start my first game. I think it was college, my college, because high school was easy. Definitely scared. Like I said, football is one of those things where you're trying to move a man out of his will. You know what I'm saying? Move him around and out of his will. So definitely scared. Definitely very nervous. Nerve-wracking. I remember couldn't sleep the night before, you know what I'm saying? Just had a lot of thoughts. I'm processing a lot of thoughts. Well, wrestling is, the guy you're going out there with is trying to help you out, you know what I'm saying? You guys are a team. It's not as nerve-wracking. In fact, I haven't been nervous for a wrestling match. I don't remember ever being nervous for a wrestling match. I don't get nervous before a wrestling match because it's one of those things. I've been in the most pressured situation ever in football. So it's like, if I've withstanding that, and that's 10 times harder, why would I get nervous about something so easy? You know what I'm saying? So, God blessings that I've never been nervous. I still haven't had a match where I was like, oh my God, I'm super nervous.
What about cutting a promo? You don't get nervous during that?
Same thing.
My man, there you go.
I mean, what's the point? What's there to be nervous about?
Yeah, there's people that just bend for promo. They can go out there and they can perform all these amazing moves, but then you put a microphone.
Tell those people playing the NFL game and they'll throw away all those nervousness. Do something that's really hard and that would solve those nervousness from cutting promos. You know what I'm saying?
So you mentioned Japan.
Yeah.
So how was your experience wrestling in Japan? Completely different crowds out there, things like that.
Japan was great. You have to learn. My thing is, wrestling is the same everywhere you go. The difference is how the fans take it, how the fans respond to what you're doing. Japan is really, really weird. Not bad, it's just weird. But once you get to understand how the crowd is there, then you like it. You have a liking for it. Well, the way I could explain the crowd in Japan is it's more elegant. You know what I'm saying? Where they don't scream, they don't yell stuff. They know that they like what you're doing just by a simple clap. You know what I'm saying?
They show that respect.
And it's a clap in unison where everybody in the crowd is clapping at the same exact time. You don't get the "this is awesome" chants. You don't get the, you know what I'm saying, back and forth with fans. It's more like an elegant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're taking your wife out to a suit and tie event, you know what I'm saying, compared to taking her to a nightclub.
That is true.
Yeah.
Back in oh my God, I can't remember what it was, but there used to be these videos called RF videos, and if you're a wrestling fan from back in the day, you know that the tape traders would you get some videos from like matches that you would never see in the United States, and I was getting really into like these kind of matches, and I was a big Rob Van Dam fan growing up, and my very first experience at what a live Japanese crowd was a match with Rob Van Dam and Sabu. I can't remember who they wrestled. It was a Japanese tag team. But sure enough, all the stuff that the fans would pop for in ECW, they're doing, and the fans weren't going nuts. The announcers were showing a little bit more emotion.
Yeah, the announcers show emotion,
Yeah,
but it
well,
depends
the
if
crowd,
it's an American. If it's an American announcer,
Yeah.
If it's Japanese announcer, they're real subtle and they're real classy and real elegant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's the big difference. And then you go to UK or Europe, and those guys are like going to a rave. You know what I'm saying?
Loud. Yeah.
They sing songs. They get loud. So. But like I said, the wrestling is the same. No matter where you go, the wrestling is the same. It's just how the crowd reacts to things and how the crowd take things. I wrestled for my first time a few months ago. I think it was like January. I wrestled in Paris for the first time, and the crowd there was ape shit. Like, oh my God, like imagine a rave with everybody on extra drunk and extra drugged out. Yeah, it was a nice, fun. The crowd was great. Like, you know what I'm saying. And yeah, so that's one thing I take when I travel the world, just to see how different fans in different parts of the world take wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm curious.
It's all different.
I'm curious when you were talking about earlier with not being nervous at all with wrestling, because you've been through the NFL and football. That's when you were nervous, but not in wrestling. You don't get nerves at all. When you were playing football, was there a certain team or a certain player you would go up against that made you nervous?
Whoever was leading the league in sacks. That's what made me nervous. Yeah, like, and it's the same thing with football. Like, if you go against a guy like Dwight Freeney, and then next week you're going against a guy that's not as known, you're not going to be as nervous. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're going against a guy like Julius Peppers, you're going to be nervous as hell. And then the following week, if you're going against somebody that's not as good, then it's almost like, okay, whatever. I just went against Julius Peppers. How hard is it going to be to go against this guy? You know what I'm saying? Same thing with wrestling.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is like, no matter what who I'm wrestling in wrestling, it's not gonna give me the chills or give me the nervousness as when I was going against anybody in the NFL, because it's two different sports. You know what I'm saying? One is actually physical and guys trying to actually kick your fucking ass, compared to one is entertainment and we're working together. You know what I'm saying? So if I have an off night, I know my dance partner could pick it up.
Yeah.
If my dance partner have an off night, he knows I could pick it up. So it's like, why could I be nervous when we have that kind of relationship in the ring? You know what I'm saying? Compared to in football, you can't have an off night.
Yeah, you gotta go all the way.
If you have an off night, you might get fired.
Yeah. Is there a time that you recall when you had an off night and in the ring? And
I mean, yeah, everybody has an off night, but I mean, I try to keep that to the minimal. Like in a 13-year period, maybe like 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
Yes, but everybody has an off night. It's kind of like basketball, like LeBron James,
right?
One of the greatest basketball players ever. He's have off nights.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You can't say that on the podcast in Chicago, man.
Well, let's say Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
like
now we're talking.
the greatest ever.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's had a handful of off nights.
Yeah.
Probably more than a handful. But it's something that happens. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But Jordan was very competitive to where when he had his off nights, he knew who those off nights were against, and it made him work even harder for that team and for that certain player.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is like tell him you ain't good, and then he's like, all right, now I'm good.
Yeah.
You always see those things.
But
you just
everybody has it. It's one of those things is inevitable. You're gonna have an off night, no matter what. Like your thing is just try to keep it very minimal.
Yeah.
And try to have way more great nights than you have off nights, and that's what makes you successful.
So we're talking about great nights. Nice little segue here. You say you don't get nervous, but on the flip side, are there matches that you have marked off on your calendar where you're like, I'm gonna get in the ring with someone really, really good, and you pump yourself up to the point that you're gonna get to that next level? I say that as an example because you just had a kick-ass match with Obafemi. Like you were one of, and it's funny too because that match, the moment the TNA and WWE partnership started, everyone wanted that match. And I remember the moment that you came out, my kid sitting in the crowd, sitting in the living room, and me and him are watching, and I flipped out. I go, this is the match I've been waiting to see. Is a match like that, of that magnitude, that looked after, where people are like craving for it, are those matches, I know they're not getting you nervous, but are those matches the ones that hype you up, where you're like, this is going to be awesome?
I won't say I'm hyped. I'm excited about the opportunity of working different people. You know what I'm saying? So when I got the call and was told that the thing with Opal was going to happen, I wasn't hyped because I am a grown man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like hyped is something like my son would give. I'm saying, hey, we're going to Disney World. Like, he's like, yeah. I wasn't hyped. I mean, I was excited for the opportunity to wrestle a guy like Obafemi. I knew it was a match that everybody wanted to see. It was a match I wanted to have as well, because he is an up and coming talent. He's for only 2 years in, if that. He's awesome. You know what I'm saying? So I knew we could make some magic, and I knew our styles would clash pretty good. So I was really looking forward to it. But like, I wouldn't say I was hyped. It's been a while since my adulthood since I've been hyped about anything.
That's what he said. He's like, I'm boring, bro.
Is there a bucket list that you have of certain wrestlers you want to work that you haven't?
Oh yeah, there's so many guys there. Like, you talking about with the NXT?
Yeah, NXT.
I know now that I've done the work with, I've gotten to work with O, but I know the next person in line that I think I could clash really well with is Jovan Evans. I'm a big fan of his. He's another up and coming superstar. He's going to be really fucking awesome once it's all said and done. But he's another guy that I feel like I could make magic with and clash real well with in the ring. So I'm looking. Hopefully, I'm throwing that in the air right now.
I know, right? Put it out in the ether, as they say.
Yeah, put it out in the universe, and somebody hopefully catches there. But he's somebody that I would love to do something with at some point. Obviously, Trick Williams, he's the NXT champion. I mean, he's a TNA champion now. Yeah. So, he's like the upcoming, the second coming of The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He has all the charisma in the world. Guys like him, the guys that you mentioned that you say you're cool with, Tony D'Angelo. I think he's another guy that I think I would clash well with. And then there's some story there, because I know I don't think he's leading his group anymore, right?
Yeah, no.
Back a few months ago, in a good story with me being the leader of the system and him being the leader of his mafia family, that would have been a good story there. But yeah, there's a lot of guys on NXT, and I'm sure I'm missing guys like Ethan, which in the Indies, me and him wrestled each other a bunch of times and absolutely killed it. So fans don't even know what they're missing in that match if it ever happens in the mainstreams, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
These are all NXT names. What about your main roster opponents? Who are you looking forward to seeing when you finally step over on that side?
Because you know what's going to happen.
I hate to mention it, because if I mention it, it's just a pipe dream. Because
I know what you mean.
The relationship is between us and NXT, right?
Yeah.
Not between us and. So there's no point of me saying, I want to wrestle Randy Orton or wrestle Roman Reigns, because the chances of that happening is like none, pretty much.
Not gonna lie, that was the first person I had in mind was Randy Orton.
Yeah, and Randy Orton. It's funny if you was to ask me who my favorite wrestler is now, like in the last 20 years, Randy Orton would be number one. Yeah, and for people who know me and see me wrestle, I emulate a lot of things that he does, because he's a huge influence in the way I look at wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So,
he's just so smooth and crisp,
so smooth, so methodical, knows how to change the pace when he needs to. His facials, his promos, everything about him is awesome. So I try to emulate a lot of the things he do. I don't call it stealing, I call it emulating.
You gotta take from the greats, you know.
But obviously that would be my first pick. But I'm also very realistic, and I know the relationship is between us and NXT. So I might as well talk about people who a matchup could realistically happen.
And how did you feel the first time you got that notice that NXT and TNA were gonna partner together?
I was excited about it. We kind of saw the writings on the wall when we saw Jordan doing the crossovers a bunch of times, and we knew it was only a matter of time before it would be a whole roster thing, and now it is. So. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped about that.
Yeah, because it's great. Even seeing guys like Joe Henry getting his WrestleMania moment, out of the blue, you never know when it's gonna happen.
You never know.
Never know what's gonna happen, man. Yeah. You really don't.
Yeah.
So when you're, so right now, man, I know you're 41, you're young. I'm 40 as well. But in the wrestling world, that's you're kind of climbing up there a little bit. How long do you see yourself doing this for?
Man, I always say until I'm 45. And people tell me, man, that's only 4 years. But it's like, so instead of saying I'm going to retire at 45, I'm going to take another look at it.
Okay.
Atmosphere at 45.
Because you don't move like a 41-year-old, man.
I know. A lot of people say that. let's be honest. If I turn 45 and I move like shit and I can't do some of the stuff that I used to do, then yeah, I'm not going to be one of those guys that's doing this and damn well beat up and struggling and can't do it, but still pushing and because he needs the money or whatever or loves it so much. I want to be able to still perform at a high level, still doing my springboard, still, you know what I'm saying, do some of the cool stuff that I do. And if once I feel like I can't do those things no more, then it's time to hang the boots up. And who knows? It might be 45, it might be 48, who knows? But hopefully it's longer, but only time will tell.
You said springboard. It's interesting, a man your size, and it's almost every color commentator says that in your matches. A guy that size should not be able to move the way he does. You know, it's always awesome because when I watch your matches, it's bound to happen. You know, you move in a certain particular way. Earlier, you mentioned Randy Orton and you mentioned Scott Hall. Neither of those guys are doing springboards. Who influenced that kind of style? Because you have a very unique style for a guy your size.
I'm a big Rey Mysterio fan. Too.
There we go.
Yeah, but I only feel like the reason why those guys are not doing it because of the evolution of wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if Randy Orton came 20 years after me, he'll probably be doing way more crazier shit than I'll be doing. And the only reason I'm doing it, he's not because I came sometime after him. You know what I'm saying? And
you came up in the old school.
And things evolve. Like look at if you watch basketball, because I'm a big basketball guy. Jordan wasn't doing some of the moves in his time that some of the guys are doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The only reason he's not doing it because he even know that was that concept of dribbling was a thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, do I think Randy Orton could do a springboard? Yeah, I mean, I think he's physically capable of doing one. I just think
because he used to do like big crossbody before.
Yeah. And if you watch some of Randy's stuff, like I've studied him, so if you watch some of the stuff in his younger days, he used to do a lot of athletic cool shit, you know what I'm saying? But he's more of an old school guy. He knows that he doesn't need to do that shit, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, if he came 10 years after me, I'm sure he'll be doing all the crazy shit, probably even crazier shit. It's just how evolution is, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Is there something that you talked yourself?
Same thing with Scott Hall.
Yeah. Is there something that you talked yourself out of where you're like, man, I know I can do the springboard, but what if I do this? And you're like, Nah. I probably shouldn't be doing that.
I do that a lot. It's like one of those things where, should I do this move? The risk versus the reward. Nah, I won't. The risk.
I'm curious what you decided to X out of your repertoire.
There's a lot of things. I mean, if you watch some of my matches, like I used to do Spanish flies. I used to do fall away moonsaults. Like I used to do all that shit, but it's just one of those things where the moment has to be bigger than the risk. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's one of those things. I'll probably pull it out again, but the moment has to be bigger than the risk.
I'm curious, what are you doing in training when you're working out? What are you doing to give you so much agility? You know, I guess like we said, a man your size shouldn't be moving the way that you do.
There's just a lot of practicing. It's like some of those things that you've seen me do is I just don't wake up and be like, I'm going to do this today. You know, it's one of those things where I find a ring, I practice numerous hours until I perfect it, and then I do it.
That's good.
Yeah.
But are you doing any drills as far as when you work out to help you with the speed and the agility?
I mean, a lot of times with some of the more agile things I do, I have to drop weight. Like I know we have a pay-per-view coming up next July 20th, Slammiversary in the UBS Arena. And I'm trying to be as light as possible because I'm planning on doing a lot of creative things there. So right now I'm 265. I'm hopefully I can get to that show about like 250, 255, 256. So I'm 8 pounds, 10 pounds lighter. So that would give me room to do more agile stuff. So
do you feel that you need to do that because of the title you're wearing?
No, it has nothing to do with the title. It has more to do with the moment.
Okay.
Like we're wrestling in front of hopefully sold out 7,000 fans there. Probably the biggest in TNA's history in the last 15 years. So the moment I feel like it's huge, and I don't know who I'm going to be wrestling, but whoever it is, I feel like it will be a great spotlight for him. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to look my best. It has nothing to do with what title I'm holding, because if I didn't have the title, I'll probably it'll probably be the moment where I'll try to pull something off.
I say that because of the lineage of that title. But speaking of titles that you've held, myself and Danny were getting ready talking about like what this episode was going to be like, and I think our favorite aspect of your career has always been when you were world champion, because you were presented as not just another guy holding that title. Because sometimes, the world championships, they're supposed to make the wrestler. You made that title during that portion of your career. You were presented as the guy. Yeah. And anybody flipping through a TV and catching TNA by accident or whatever it was, and they saw you coming out, just the way you were dressed, the way you were coming out, the way you were presenting yourself, you were the guy. And I remember watching that, and I went, man, I already liked Moose, but goddamn, like, he is a superstar right now. You embodied what a true champion was during that title run. What was that fabricated by The Office, or was that a lot by you?
Oh, that was a lot by me. I mean, I've always been. I've never been a guy like Cody, like that wears suits and every time you see him. And there's nothing wrong with that because Cody pulls it off well. I mean, great looking guy, wears some nice fucking looking suits. But I've never been that guy that always wear a suit. Sometimes I change it up. Sometimes I wear a suit. Sometimes I wear a hoodie and sweatpants. Sometimes I wear nice jeans and a collar shirt. So, but I feel like when you have that world title, you have to present yourself as a boss. You know what I'm saying? So every time I had that title, I had to present myself like I'm the final boss. You know what I'm saying? So what would the final boss look like? 3-piece suits. You know what I'm saying? Always look to impress, look to kill, kind of like James Bondish. You know what I'm saying? That's my aspect of it. And then once I drop the title, okay, now I can ease up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I show up to work in a suit. Sometimes I show up to work in casual clothes. Sometimes I show up to work in sweatpants. But if I ever win that world title again, then it's back to
being like a badass,
boss.
huh?
Yeah.
I thought there was times when you came out, and I'm a big comic book guy, and Michael Clark Duncan, when he played the Kingpin in the Daredevil, that's what I compared you to when you were coming out like that. I was like, fucking looks like goddamn Daredevil.
It's funny you say that because that was kind of like the influence of me wearing a suit. You know what I'm saying?
Was it Michael Clark Duncan?
Being
That's awesome.
And
I'm a big comic book guy too, being a Michael Clark Duncan.
And I was gonna ask you, aside from getting influences from wrestlers, is there anybody like you see on TV as far as like movies and stuff like that you get influence for either a character or what?
Yeah,
you're
all
doing?
the time. I mean, I watch a lot of movies, so every time I watch a movie, I always try to steal phrases or steal emotion or steal tactics or just the way characters act, you know what I'm saying, to help me with my work with wrestling. So, and most of the movies I watch when I use for study purposes, it has to be, a lot of times it's superhero movies because it has a bad guy and a good guy, you know what I'm saying, yeah.
So what are some of your favorite superheroes?
Kingpin, like you said. I actually like the newer Kingpin.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio is
yeah,
awesome.
I actually like the new. Nothing against Clark.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, nothing against him, but I like the new portrayal of the Kingpin.
I agree.
Obviously Thanos. He was a big guy. I remember I watched that movie probably like 7 times, and I always studied and replayed how Thanos scenes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just there's something about him. You know what I'm saying? Especially being a final boss.
There's something so methodical and at calm and at ease of what he did. Up until the last battle.
I remember when I was after I just feuded with EC3, I kind of had a small Moose character change where I didn't really talk much or show any emotion, and I kind of got that from what's the name of that movie? No Country for Old Men. The guy that killed people with the air pump. Yeah, because he had no emotions. Like you didn't know when he was happy, when he was.
That movie seems to have influenced quite a lot of people.
Yeah, you
Chris
know when
Jericho
he was happy, when he was fucking sad, when he was. You didn't know anything. He just gave you one blank stare.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where that stage of Moose kind of was derived from. That character. So yeah, I watch movies quite a lot to try to get things from.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I do the same thing. Me and him talk all the time, and whenever we got to go work on a show and whatnot, I love Rage Against the Machine, and Tom Morello has a lot of anti-political views in his music, and I listen to that, and for our characters, it fits. And man, I'm the same way. I'm studying, and I'll get like a phrase, and I go, man, I'm gonna use that in a promo. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. This is great.
Thanos is probably my favorite one because if you like really look at it and really like dissect it, he's really not a bad guy.
Nope.
He's actually a good guy, but other people think he's bad because they don't see life in the same vision that he sees life.
Yeah.
But if you look at life the way he looks at it, he's like, oh shit, he's actually a good guy.
Yeah.
Because, and I hate to bring this to, and as a heel, you kind of have to have the same mindset where what you're doing is for the benefit of good. You know what I'm saying? It's just all these assholes think you're the bad guy. You know what I'm
You got to
saying?
stick to your convictions.
Yeah. But like going back to the Thanos thing, like if you watch, what was the other movie that came out after Thanos? The Eternals. He was trying to. Have you guys seen the Eternals?
That one I haven't seen it.
Thanos was trying to stop the world from going through what the Eternals was going through. And if he had wiped out half the people in the Earth, then the guy, when he came to try to kill the Earth.
Okay.
So in that sense,
They made him.
he's a good guy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we don't see that. He knows it's coming. Everybody on Earth doesn't know that's coming, so they'd be like, oh, he's evil. But then if the Eternal thing would have happened, they would be like, oh, shit, Thanos was trying to help us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you... But yeah.
He was justified in his actions.
What's your favorite quote that you like from?
Oh, the one from Endgame where he was like, I can't.
I already know what you're talking about.
I can't repeat it.
You're talking about the one that came back to me, right?
Yeah.
I already knew it. I already knew it.
Yeah. It was like something led you right back to me. It was like, oh man,
that's the most bomb ass fucking quote he has.
That might be the quote of the year. Yeah.
You couldn't live with your own failures.
Yeah.
That one. That one's chills, man.
It
Chills.
Yeah, it couldn't live with your own fears, so it led you back to me, or something like that. Yeah, it was like, oh.
If you were allowed to play a superhero in a movie of your choice, even one that hasn't been out in the universe, one you can make yourself, what would that superhero be?
Man, that's I don't know. I've never been asked that.
You'd be a badass Luke Cage, man.
You know what? I've been told that before multiple times. I don't know. I kind of want to be a villain. That's the thing. Not a superhero.
Not a superhero?
Or a villain? What kind of villain?
Villains have more fun, man.
Yeah. What kind of villain?
What is a Thanos version of in the DC world? I think I would want to be
Darkseid.
Darkseid, yeah. If I could pick one, it'd probably be Darkseid.
Darkseid?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a new gimmick.
You know what? With your size, Killer Croc in the Batman world would be pretty badass.
Yeah, that would be
Killer Croc, or
but he's not big enough though. He's not like a big enough. He's just like another.
He's like mid-level.
Mid card. I want to be like a.
You want to be like he said earlier. He wants to be the
like
big boss.
Or Thanos or Doom or Galactus. Like I want to be a final boss. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What superpower would you have? Even as a villain, what would you?
Oh man. Obviously strength, super strength. I would say super strength and a little bit of telekinesis, kind of like super strength with fucking Professor X powers. I think I would be unstoppable.
Okay,
I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah. Now I'm curious when you said how we were talking about how you said maybe till 45 you'll give wrestling to you'll revisit that at 45 depending on how you feel. When the time comes for when you do call it quits in the ring, can you see yourself sticking in the business more like a backstage role?
I would like to take some time off, just travel the world and actually enjoy some of the cities I've been to that I've never left the hotel. I would take a year off to do that, and then I could see myself coming back being a producer or agent or even a writer, whatever it entails, you know.
What are some of your favorite cities that you've been to that you haven't really got a chance to really visit?
Italy, Paris. Man, so much. Australia, I've been there a couple of times. I never really got a chance to visit. Miami, a bunch of times for shows. I never really got a chance to.
Even when you played in the NFL, you didn't get
Yeah,
a chance
same
to.
thing.
Same thing.
Like go to a city and you're just in the airport. I mean, in the airport hotel.
Yeah.
Until you play the game or you do the show and then you head back to the next city or you go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those would be my big two.
So you mentioned the idea right now. Danny floated the idea of you sticking around past wrestling. Scott Hall wasn't ever really a producer, but there are so many people that talk about how influential he was backstage, how like the little nuggets of gold that he would give people. And you mentioned how that's one of your guys. Backstage, obviously the internet, a lot of people read about what's going on. There hasn't never ever really truly ever been anything about, hey, Moose helped me out with this. Tell me about you helping your peers.
Oh man, I help people. I mean, that's like my big thing. I'm not in wrestling, especially as from what I've heard and experienced. Sometimes wrestling is a very selfish sport where most of the performers think about themselves first. And I get it. It's one of those things where they need to feed their families and feed themselves and take care of their household. So whatever tricks or whatever they have, they try to keep that to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because they want all the money for themselves, which is rightfully understandable. I'm different. Like I try to help my teammates as much as possible because it's one of those things. I've made a lot of money playing football. I make a lot of money doing wrestling now. So if I could pass some of the knowledge to some of the younger guys to build up TNA and make TNA better and get TNA to a bigger network and more eyes on the project, then why not? You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, like let's take a full guy like Joe Henry. I remember when Joe Henry first got to TNA. Not the first time, the second run back at TNA when he came back. I helped him. I tried to get him better in-ring quality, look at wrestling a little different inside the ring. And, I mean, he took some of my ideas. And I'm not saying I'm the reason for his
rise.
His rise, because I'm not. But I did help him out a little bit with, especially when we worked with each other all the times we did. And I showed him how to structure a match a little bit and things to look for when you know what I'm saying, planning your match. So
Yeah.
I would like to say I helped out a little bit with Joe. But like with the rise of Joe Henry, that's all him.
Yeah.
Is there that gratification when they go out there and perform and they do those things and you go, they listened? You get that gratification.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can definitely see you having that. Like just this conversation alone, you're very, very down to earth. I could see that being in your future. I'm hoping that that's how you get back to wrestling once 45 comes around.
It's definitely something I would love to do once wrestling is done in ring, at least, is doing something backstage. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, I can see that happening. I'm curious, was there a difference stepping into a football locker room compared to a wrestling locker room?
Oh yeah, it's definitely different. A wrestling locker room is way more ridiculous than a football locker room.
I had a feeling.
Way more ridiculous. I mean, I feel like in wrestling you're dealing with more kids than
Yeah.
anything. And in the football locker room, most guys there are adults and have children, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So was that a big adjustment for you?
Not really a big adjustment because I mean it's the same. I could be a kid myself when I need to, and I'm also a family guy, so yeah. So yeah, not really a big adjustment, but that's the biggest difference between both locker rooms. Yeah.
And you got kids?
Yeah, I have one.
One kid?
Yeah.
And boy or girl?
Boy, 15 years old.
15?
Yeah.
And how does it feel seeing dad on
Oh, he
TV?
loves it,
Yeah.
but he does his own thing. He does not want to be a wrestler.
Yeah, be a wrestler,
Yeah,
okay.
and I'm actually happy he doesn't because I want him to do something he picks to do himself and not something I influence. You know. What I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. As we start winding down here, man, we talked comic books and heroes and supervillains. Do you have any aspirations to dip your toes in acting at all?
If I do, it's gonna be once wrestling is over.
Okay.
Because right now I want to put my focus. I'm one of those guys. I kind of call myself autistic because once I like something or once I'm involved in something, I try to put all my focus on that one thing, and I don't think it's fair for myself and who I'm working with and the company I'm working with if I'm dipping my toes in other avenues and not really putting my main focus on what I'm getting paid to do, you know.
Is there other avenues that you want to dip your toes in after
Yeah,
wrestling?
definitely acting probably. I mean, I do love movies and love TV shows, so definitely acting at some point.
Acting would be it? Cool, man. Nice. So, before, I mean, I know you said earlier that you don't want to put nothing out there that you think is not going to happen. But before your career ends, what's one thing you would definitely love to accomplish?
Definitely, big goal of mine before my career is over. Um, Probably to have a match on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it's said and done. But who knows? I mean, it might be one of those things where this relationship might lead to that. Or it might be one of those things that when I'm done with TNA, I go there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but who knows? But yeah, I think that's a believable goal to set. That something that could happen. And it's one of those things with. That's another thing with wrestling with setting goals. A lot of goals that you set in wrestling is not even in your control. You know what I'm saying? You don't control it. All you have to do is just stay alive and keep working hard, and hopefully somebody sees you doing the right thing, or somebody likes you and then picks you up. But a lot of goals that you set in wrestling is not in your control. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of stupid to set some because you don't control it. Like I can't say, oh, by 2010 I'm going to win a title.
Yeah,
it's not a real fight. It's the guy booking it.
Does he like me? Does he not?
So it's like, but if just in retrospect to answer your question, if I could set a goal, that is something that could be done. You know what I'm saying? Even though I don't control it, but I don't see it being a slim chance of it. You know,
because the first time you won that TNA World Title, man, what was that feeling like?
It was definitely. It was definitely a great feeling to know that a company trusting you to put their main title on you. You know what I'm saying? Especially the way my thing is, and that's one thing I love Scott about. Scott Demore, one of my big mentors, and we always have these conversations. And you never want to win a title in a way that is not memorable. And that's one thing I love about Scott, because Scott always tried. I know I bitched a lot to him about wanting to win the title and wanting to be a champion and wanted to be the guy. He always told me that if I'm going to make you the guy, I'm going to make you the guy, and nobody will forget about it. And he did that because right now I'm in the school from Scott of always making that first one
mean something.
Very memorable. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, how did you feel towards Scott making it so memorable?
No, I love Scott, and he knows my relationship too. So, yeah.
How was the locker room backstage? I know everyone read about it when Scott left, and there was a lot of tears shed. Cause
the locker room sucked. I mean, obviously, because Scott is a guy that everybody wanted, and he was a big name synonymous with TNA, and he was there. It's kind of like me, from when it was the shits to now when it's great. You know what I'm saying?
I remember him in the Team Canada days.
Right. But we also understand, or at least for me, I also understand business. You know what I'm saying? And because I come from a football world, and when you see firings all the time, and you just have to. That sucks, but business as usual. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if anybody in that locker room understood the business of it all, it was me, because I've dealt with it. I've seen it so many times.
Do you feel like being in football helped you with that and like the business side?
Yeah,
because you see a lot of wrestlers.
Even some of the guys in the locker room who've been in WWE, and they see cuts all the time. It fucking happens. I mean, it sucks, and that sucks. That happened to a good friend of ours. Same thing with Gail. Gail was a great friend of mine. I love Gail to death. You know what I'm saying? And it sucked that she got let go, but it's one of those things that we see it all the time where we're kind of like numb to it now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just hope that it was done for right reasons to help the brand. You know what I'm saying? And we just keep moving forward and do what we control. The only thing I can control is my performance out there.
Yeah.
Everything else is out of my control. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't even like speaking on it because I'm not in those meetings about making more money for TNA, so I don't know what the rights and the wrong is, or who am I to give my 2 cents about who they should hire or who they should fire, because I don't know shit about it. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I know is about how to run a spot, how to do a drop kick, how to do a springboard. That's what I know how to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, man, but like everyone's been saying, man, it's right now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, because wrestling is huge right now. Huge, big moves being made everywhere, and finally everyone is getting noticed. Getting their face out there, their names out there. Like it's so great to see, man. And I'm so glad to see, the big things you're doing. I see big things coming your way. And I think I see those matches closer than than you think, man, because you're definitely one of the top stars, bro.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to close out because I've always wondered. You have a very unique friendship. You just mentioned Gail Kim. The internet knows you're super friendly with Tessa, with Natty as well. Give us some cool road stories with your pals.
Oh man, I would get killed, or I would get killed or canceled or both if I let any of those stories go.
We can.
So,
Those stay for the road and road only.
That stays for the road and in between the boys. That's all. Yeah.
No, man, but thanks, bro. Thank you for coming and thank you for inviting us to your hotel to do this, man. Thank you for doing it, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, man. Before we head up out of here, man, any last things you want to say?
Oh no, thanks for having me. It was definitely a great chat. It's not one of those podcasts I've done in the past and I was hoping it wasn't going to be that where they just have like 30 questions.
Nah, we're more organic, man. We just want to shoot shit.
Questions, and you just want to shoot both guys. It was actually a cool conversation. I really respect it, and thank you for it. Yeah.
We aim to make anybody that listens to this show, we want them to know, to have a feeling almost like they know a little bit about you, like if they're your buddies. The idea is you can sit and you can watch all these other podcasts somewhere, and you'll get like those kind of dry questions. Yeah. We aim to make it so that it could be like if they're a fly on the wall in a conversation with some buddies at a bar somewhere. Right. That's kind of the inspiration for this, man, and we thank you for enjoying your time here with us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man. So big thanks again to Moose for coming and hanging out with us today. Big special thanks to our sponsors, the Law Office of Christopher Hoff, Taco Villa, and to Wrestling Tees. Appreciate all y'all, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share the Salud Cabrones podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And follow us on all social media platforms at Salud Cabrones Podcast. Moose, this is the part of the episode where we sign off saying Salud Cabrones. Can you say that?
Salud.
Cabrones.
Man, Tessa's gonna be on you.
It means like cheers, motherfuckers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cheers, motherfuckers.
There we go. That's fine. That works out. That works out well.
Hey, we out, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.